So with this, we have come to the end of this presentation. We just have a couple of closing slides, but just a few reminders. As we have said multiple times throughout this presentation, that it's really your money. You should be the one in charge, even though the people who are working with you, they're supposedly working with you. In reality, they may or may not be, but you don't want to take a chance. You want to be the one in charge. As we said, you want to be really well involved about the process. You should understand exactly what's going on, and you should have all the answers. If you don't, you should work with them to give you all the answers. You are the one who has got a vested interest in this loan, and you need to obviously look out for your own interest. And the fourth bullet point here, do not ever be rushed into taking a decision. Take your time. If something is ever presented to you that you've got until 4 o'clock today to decide, take a deep breath. It may not always be that there's a critical deadline and you have to conform no matter what, even if you're not comfortable with it. So take your time and then you decide. And remember, the numbers are so high here that, as we just saw using our calculator, that even a tiny difference between, let's say, getting a loan at 3.5% versus 3.125%, just 1/8 of a percentage could mean a big difference. $15,000, I believe we saw, would be the difference in how much interest you'd end up paying. So be very careful about every aspect of this entire process. This whole presentation is available to you to download as well and use offline, use at your own convenience. The calculator is available for your disposal as well. Please go ahead and download it, and please feel free to use it how it suits you. So this is a very condensed course. We try to cover as much of the useful information as possible for you to go walk you through the whole loan approval, loan approval and loan selection process. Clearly, we've left out quite a few things. We should just focus on the most critical aspect of it. And we obviously, it goes without saying that we really had to pick and choose. So there are many areas that we have not covered. We'll very quickly breeze through them, and it will give you the reason why we chose to not cover them. FHA loan is a special type of a loan that's underwritten by the government. If you're eligible for it, your loan agent will let you know. So it's not as if you can ask them, and the programs will be available based on your eligibility. And that's the first question they're supposed to ask you. So you expect them to work with you to get the FHA loan as well. Jumbo limit, there is a limit. If the loan is beyond, it's about 700. It changes every year. It could be a different limit for every state. It's roughly around between $700,000 and $750,000. If the loan amount is higher than that limit, then there's an extra premium that you have to pay towards the interest. There's nothing much you can do. All the options you'll get from competing companies will probably all be based on the jumbo rate. So again, it is what it is. You just will have to accept that. And then certain options, if you don't have enough down payment available, you really like a house, the market is soft, the seller is desperate, seller is very motivated to work out a deal, you could look at lease as an option, which means you sign the papers, you move into the house, you start paying a rent towards the house. And the rent that you'll pay would be more than the market rent for the house, with the extra difference going towards your down payment. And you do this for the next 2 or 3 or 5 years, and you've got enough down payment saved for the seller to accept that as a down payment, and then you end up buying the house at that time. That's called exercising your option. Again, it's not very widely used, but it is a strategy that might be available to you as a borrower if your other options are not quite working out. Seller carryback is also another option, where if you don't have enough of a down payment, seller might be willing to carry back 10% of the loan at whatever terms you both agree on. There's no standard for this. So again, work this out with your agent, work this out with your real estate agent, and try to figure out what options there might be. HELOC is home equity line of credit. We did not talk about that. That's usually a loan that could be attached to that is attached to your property. It's usually a second on the property. And the way it works is you've got a line of credit. It's like having a checking account with the money in the checking account equivalent to how much equity you've got in the house. And then you're able to borrow down from this from this available fund whenever you have a need. When you're improving the house, for example, you've got some cosmetic changes, you've got some cash flow situation, you're able to borrow this money, and then you whatever amount of money you have borrowed, you have to pay interest on that, and then eventually you have to return the money back. It's a loan. It's a line of credit, but it's still a loan. Finally, appraisal and inspection, those are the parts of the loan request process. The property has to be appraised. It has to be appraised for a specific value. What if it does not appraise for the value? Then your agent will give you the option. They might ask you to put down some extra money from your pocket to be able to satisfy the lender and the seller. Similarly, inspection, you have to pay for the inspection, roughly $300 to $500 for the inspector to go to the property, spend several hours over there, and come back with a very detailed, thick binder, detailed report analysis of what the property, any issues they were able to find, short-term, long-term structure, electricity, plumbing, any of those issues. Plus, they'll also look at some of the cosmetics as well. And then you work with your agent and with the seller to figure out which of the items that they found you want them to be fixed before you move into the house. And then finally, the impact of credit on your loan. It can have a huge impact if your credit score is less than 700. You obviously, since you're in the middle of this process, be assured that you are very cognizant of what a good score is. Your agent would be able to advise you on that. So be mindful of your credit score, and whatever you can do to remove some of the negative blemishes from your report, try to work with the agencies, with the bureaus, and remove those extra things. Make sure that all the reports are accurate. If there are any discrepancy, please try to remove them, and it'll be to your extreme benefit to get your credit score as high as possible. So since we tried to condense a lot of information in this very short course, we really had to leave out quite a few other items. We have got several other courses as well, which are available for you to view, again, at your convenience, based on where you are in the process, where you might need some help, and for you to even get familiarized with the entire process. So we've got a detailed course on buying a house, and then supporting you through the entire process, what to expect, what questions to ask. A very detailed presentation. I'm sure you would welcome that. You would appreciate the content that we have provided in there. Should you buy a house, for another presentation, or should you be okay in renting it? We try to equate the home buying process, which is the emotional part, which is where you want to live, and we try to connect that with your home equity gain over a period of time. So we're trying to bundle the investment with the emotional aspect of living into a house. So in this presentation, we're trying to separate the two. We're trying to give you an option where you come out ahead in the best of both worlds, and to give you the best option based on your very specific scenario. So there are some questionnaires there that you would want to go through to truly understand in which option do you come out ahead. And come out ahead is certainly not just a financial decision. It depends upon so many other factors in your life. And if you go through this presentation, I'm sure you would appreciate what different questions you really have to go through before you decide what to do. Understanding your credit report. We just talked about the value of that. And again, this is one area that you really, really have to be on top of. So go through this presentation, figure out what you may not even know, what you may not even realize, what you may not even understand. Figure out how things work, figure out what your responsibilities are, figure out what their other side's responsibilities are, and try to work things out. So you've got, so you're able to maximize your credit score. In the entire home buying loan approval process, the longest portion, the longest pole in this entire process is your credit score improvement. You really have to understand this. Everything else you can do within a matter of a few days. You're applying for a new loan, you can come up with all the documentation, all your bank statements, your W-2s, your tax returns in a couple of days. You can get the inspection done and get the report done in 3 or 4 days. If you're really short for time, you can do all of that except credit report. So this is really one thing where you really want to get started as early in the process as possible. And as we said earlier, to stay on top of this. We have a presentation on comparing your loan offers. We did To a certain extent, when we earlier in this presentation, when we showed you these two calculators, we showed you the loan option between 1, 2, and 3. We plugged in the values and saw how things changed. This presentation, the one comparing the loan option, there's a lot more involved than just that. It has the first loan and second loan, potentially even a third loan. It gives you the total combined net effect of those loans and just helps you figure out, again, in which scenario do you come out ahead. So again, it's a very useful presentation for anyone who's looking at the options and trying to figure out which way to go. And then finally, we've got a presentation on landlords and tenants. Two conflicting parties. They never seem to get along, never seem to be able to see eye to eye or agree on everything. That we strongly believe is very detrimental. This process is with this presentation, we are trying to build a framework for both sides to be able to come together and realize the mutually beneficial aspects of this relationship, of this partnership. That for the tenant to be able to live in a house that somebody else is providing you with all the benefits, with all the comfort and conveniences that you wanted in that house, you need to be thankful to the other side to have given you the opportunity. And for the landlord to really appreciate and acknowledge that tenant is the one who's helping you pay down your mortgage, to take care of your long-term investment. And you need to value that, you need to appreciate this. So in this presentation, we're trying to bring the two parties together. We're trying to really get everyone to understand how things are for the other side. So with this, we come to the end of this presentation. We hope you enjoyed it. We hope you liked it. We hope you find it of value. We hope you found a few nuggets here that you could leverage, that you could use in your thinking process. Please give us your feedback. If there's any area where you think we didn't put enough emphasis, we should have given some more examples, please let us know, and we would love to improve. We would love to expand upon this presentation that you just went through. Please give us your feedback. We always would love to hear from anyone who goes through them. Please give us a good review. Wherever we post these presentations, your review would really help us go up in the popularity ranking and for others to be able to find it. If you find it useful, we hope others would also find it useful. Please give us a good review. And also, if you happen to know other people who might benefit, please share the presentation with us. And do check out the other courses, that presentations that we mentioned earlier. Please do check them out. Some of them are tremendously useful depending on where you are in the process. We've worked very hard, obviously, in creating those presentations, and we are really confident that you would find them useful. With that, we come to the end of this course. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for giving us an opportunity to work with you, to give you some of the basics, and we wish you the best as you continue this journey towards finding your dream home and towards finding the best and economically viable loan option. Thank you.